What's up?
Hey, Brian Marsolais here.
Ron Carter here. What's going on, Brian? You said you wanted to talk more in this video.
Well, where I'm going with this is I want to know what motivates you out there. But before we get into that, because you're a super highly motivated individual, that I know from
Me
what I've
or
known
them?
of you, Ron
Okay.
Carter is this guy's super motivated, super creative, never stops. At least that's the portrait I have of Mr. Carter. So I was working out this morning. I get up like usually 4:30, 5 o'clock. So I like to start my day early. That way nobody bothers me. Does that make sense? My
Yep.
phone starts going crazy about 7:30, 8 o'clock. And then it's just nonstop, just with the
That's just
businesses
because
I
of
run.
I was going
My
to say it's because
electrical
of the businesses.
business, my apartments. But anyway, long story short, I was working out this morning and I says, well, I like to find things that kind of get my mind to get motivated, to work out harder, to be the best version of myself. And I started asking, well, what is it today that I'm going to use to trigger that? And I started thinking of all the people that came before me. Now, right down the road from where I live, which I didn't even know when I bought this house, my grandparents are buried. Not just my mother's mom and her dad, but also my father's dad and my father's mom. They're all in the cemetery.
Okay.
Pretty cool. So every once in a while, I'll go take a trip to the cemetery. But then I started thinking,
This is all while you're working out this morning. You're thinking about all this?
well, these are thoughts that have come to me previously, but this is one of the steps I use to motivate myself. So what happens is I'm thinking all the people that came before me, which is pretty amazing, just to get to where I am, just to get me to be born. So I don't want to let anyone down. So I use this mindset. They're watching over us and they're saying, boy, a lot of people came together from generation to generation to generation to create me. When you think
Huh.
about it, it's really mind blowing.
That's really interesting because I kind of take an opposite approach.
Yeah, that's cool. The ops like, damn, why am I born?
No, no, like, let me explain it, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be great. Now, does it motivate you or demotivate you?
No, it
Because
motivates me.
like for me, having I don't want to let people down, right? So especially your family. So if you think about what it took, your parents had to get together to make you. But before that, then there was like four of them. And then if you go beyond that, I mean, think about the magnitude of that. You don't want to, like, I don't want to get up to the pearly gates and say, oh, geez, man, dude, you blew it. You know what I mean? It motivates me. It's like, I want to be the best version I can be.
It's really interesting because it's like there's that whole thing of like don't care about what people think about you, don't care about other people's opinions,
Mm.
and a lot of people try to do that, but it's hard, right? Because we're wired to think
But
about
you're
that kind of
talking
stuff.
about people
But
who are
but
alive,
hold on,
right?
hold on. But you've harnessed that to do the things that you need to do. I think if you're caring about other people's opinions, it extends to people who have passed away or people who are not even born yet. How many times have you heard people say like, well, I want to build this and do this thing so I can pass this down to my children's children's children. It's like, or I want them to think this of me. It's like those people aren't even born yet, and you're caring about what they think. But you're fueling that to do something that's positive. So I don't think that this is going to seem controversial, and you can definitely argue against me. You can argue against this, anybody
Yeah.
on YouTube or even you,
Oh,
that
yeah.
there's no good or bad. It's like that's just the meaning that we have ascribed to things. And
Mm.
so I'm
I
not
don't,
saying that caring about those opinions is good or bad. It's
I don't,
just an observation.
I don't think it's really an opinion that is motivating. I'm just saying the people that it took to create me, including, you could say including God, spirit, but all that took to get to me to where I am, that motivates
Mm.
me. That's the key. Like, and they're gone. There's no one saying, "Oh, Brian's really screwing up." You know what I mean?
Do you think that I'm just curious. Does it motivate you more than the thought of what if more than the thought of, let's say that they weren't even in the picture, you didn't even think about them, but you were thinking about how like I don't want to let myself down, or I don't want like I need to do this because it's what I said that I'm going to do, and I need to do it, and
Sure.
that's it.
Well,
Does the other
that's just another form. This was like today's motivation for me. Yeah, I have many of them. This is just one that I wanted to share. And, but yeah, sure. Because I said I would, I'm going to do it because
right?
I said I would, right? So
Yeah,
there's all kinds of ways. That was just one of the things that I was sharing to get me through my workout this morning.
yeah. I was curious about that because that for me, that is the thing that motivates me the most. And I don't think that much about like what you just shared as far as motivating. Like I said, I have like an opposite approach where I feel like who cares what anybody else thinks, and a lot of this might be because the stuff that I choose to do and that I choose to spend time doing are things that like my immediate family or the people around me didn't understand, and so it was hard for them to support. So not saying that they don't want to support like me like emotionally or mentally, well, you know what I mean, and just say, yeah, go do it, you can do it. But they're like, I don't understand why you're making all these videos, or I don't understand why you're doing, because they can't see the vision that I see. And so I had to get to a point where, and these are just the people that are alive still, right?
Yeah, well, you've got people still alive in your corner, which is awesome.
Right,
And
right.
and I'm the same way as you. I don't care what in the real world where we are. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter. It does, like, to me, even when the naysayers start getting on me, I use that as fuel.
right.
Tell me I can't do something and it's even game on.
It's like, all right, bet
So,
you'll
but
see.
what I was saying in the spirit world, for me, where I come from, my grandparents are all gone, my parents are gone. And if there is such a thing as them watching over me, I just want to be the best version that I can be.
So yeah, I think for me, I more or less feel like I take an opposite approach, and it's kind of like to get to the same place though, like where I'm like, all right, who cares what anybody else thinks, like anybody, and I just want to do the things that I know that I want to do, that I feel like I'm put here to do, and do them to the best of my ability. And sometimes those things aren't even things that like going to the gym or where I need to push hard. Sometimes it's like making sure that I take days off to go do nothing, or to go be out in nature, or to go to like close all my screens and not focus on the internet business stuff, like just be connected with the actual environment, you know,
Sure.
and and the people that are around me in my life today. Because I know that like at the end of the day, what motivates me more is, I think the most is what I think that I will think if I get the opportunity to be on a deathbed at the end of my life. Some people don't get that, right? But if I do get that opportunity to die in that fashion, where I have time to reflect and look back at my whole life, I want to be able to look at my whole life and feel like, damn, dude, you did good.
Yeah, absolutely. The best version of you.
And like, and that doesn't mean that I just like built a business that's like super successful and like let all my relationships fall by the wayside and then didn't have any personal time and didn't do any cool stuff. But I built this thing. I don't think I would feel that way if I did that.
Yeah, yeah, you leave
Maybe
out
some
the
people would.
joy. I don't know. I don't know.
I think it's different for everybody, but
I think
I
it is.
personally,
I mean, I think that's the beauty of just having a podcast. We go wherever. And one of the things we're talking about right now is balance. Balance in somebody's life. And if you take your life and you have a chart, say, or a pie, say a pie graph, and you split things up, relationships, work, finances, children if you have them, any of that, family. And then once you start getting off track on one or two of these things, say family, relationships, because you're working so much, right? Now that wheel's out of balance. So it's really important to try your best to keep things in balance. Maybe it's just a phone call. Say, hey, mom, dad, thinking of you.
I disagree. I
Cool.
disagree.
Cool. Ron doesn't like staying in balance.
No, I disagree that it's really important to keep things in balance. I also would disagree if you would say it's really important to make sure that things are never in balance. I would disagree with both of those statements because I'm of the opinion that there's no right or wrong way that applies to everybody. And it depends on what your goal is. Like for me personally, I want some sort of balance in my life, right? That's why I want to be able to do all these different things. But for somebody who's maybe 25 years old and just really wants to build a business, they don't really have a spouse or kids yet, but they have time with their parents. They like that they could spend, but they just got done spending a lot of time with their parents because they were living there, until they were 20, and now they're 25 and they're trying to do this thing. It's like if you want to build something great or start something and get some inertia moving in a certain direction, it's going to be no balance for a while.
Well, what do you think about this? What do you think? Like,
So,
let's say that they don't have as many spokes in the wheel. Let's say they have, you got to look at your physical condition because you got to stay healthy to enjoy all that you're making, that you're building. And whatever relationships you do have, still, hey, it's good to just reach out here and there. Still keeping a balance, but just not as many spokes in the wheel.
yeah, I think that I get what you're saying, and yeah, like all of these things could apply. Like, and that's what I mean by there's no like end all be all. This is how it should be, you know. Um, like it's just my opinion, and so I really feel that balance is something that's measured over seasons in my life. Like, I've had seasons of my life where all I do is just grind and I don't have any relationship. I didn't have a spouse or a partner. It was just me. Like there was my parents, of course. We didn't live in the same, we lived hours away from each other. And I wasn't very balanced and it wasn't very healthy for my mental state. I developed a lot of skills during that time,
Mm.
but those skills are things that I'm using now while I'm living a more balanced life. And if I look at both sides of it, it's like, okay, now I can do things like I went surfing this morning, out for like 4 hours on a Monday.
Let
Like
me
I
let
can
me
do
run.
things
Get
like
him.
that now because I was unbalanced before, and they kind
So
of balance each other out.
in your description of that, I felt unhealthy when you were just striving to get wherever you were going.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it would have been wiser to get some balance out of that so that way you didn't feel unhealthy and you could have, instead of burning out, you could have sustained? Do you think that's possible?
I mean,
And it might not be.
it depends on what, like, and that's what I mean. It depends on what the goal is. My goal of that time was not to just be a healthy individual. It was to acquire skills as fast as possible.
So being healthy
And
wasn't even on the chart.
no,
You didn't even think of it. Never even thought of it.
didn't care. I've been healthy before, but like I literally
Hmm.
let that go on purpose. Like, who cares? You can get healthy again later. But right now, this is what you need to do. And that was the North Star. And that lasted about a year, right? And and see, the thing is, and the reason I bring that up is because there's so many people out there that want to change their entire life situation. Maybe they want to build a business or they want to like lose a bunch of weight, like a lot. Maybe they're like really overweight and they want to do it with small marginal changes while living a balanced life. And it's like, good fucking luck if you want to make a big change quickly while having balance, because a big change quickly comes from putting a lot of focus, energy, and attention and action in one specific area. And when you do that, all the other areas, they're not being attended to. And so it's like you will get results over here over time, but then after that, you have to go focus on all these different things that are neglected. And then you can kind of start to get some balance. That's if you want to make a big change quick. If you want to make some marginal change and progress in the right direction, you can do it in a more balanced way. Of course, there's no right or wrong answer for any of this. These are just observations that I've seen in my own life. Like when I got sober, when I got off drugs and alcohol, man, I was going to different recovery meetings. I was going to anywhere between like 10 and 12 recovery meetings per week. So multiple per day. Like, and I was living in a sober living house, so we had meetings at the house. So I'm surrounded with everybody who's sober. I'm going to meetings in the morning. I'm going in the evening. I'm doing meetings at the recovery house. I'm calling my sponsor. I'm doing the homework that he's assigned. I'm working all these steps. It's literally like living and breathing the 12 steps all day, every single day, no room for anything else, because I needed to make a drastic change very quickly.
Yeah, I mean that's yeah. You gotta beat the drugs. You gotta beat the
Yeah,
alcohol. I mean
that's an extreme example, but
that yeah,
it's
that's
still.
extreme. I mean, I think that
But a lot of times, the best way to describe a situation, though, is using extreme examples because people can wrap their heads around them.
yeah, absolutely. So I think like an extreme example, let's just take that theory. Let's just look at it. Let's just look at it. Like all of a sudden you have to lose a ton of weight and you're just totally focused on losing weight. And then your job suffers. And then like does it feel like catch up after, because I like being balanced. Matter of fact, my sign scales, I'm a Libra. Everything's got to be balanced all the time for me. That works for me. So it's interesting because let's say you just focused on losing weight, then your job starts sliding. And then do you have to like leave the weight loss program and just focus on the job?
You got to scale it back.
You got to scale back and then you get fat again. Or
Well,
out of shape.
let me ask you this: instead of hypotheticals, right? You built this electrical business. When you first started building that business, were things balanced?
I mean, pretty much. But I did it by getting up early to do it. I always wanted to take care of, my physical fitness. And I always cooked my meals while I was working out, and then I would go to work. So I know where you're going with that.
Hmm.
Was I
No, I was
more
just wondering.
focused? Was I more focused on building the business than anything? I think my morning routine really helped me a lot with that because I got my workout in the morning done, and I got to cook all my food instead of going out, getting burgers and crap, like that. For me, that works. Doesn't mean it works for everybody.
Yeah. So here's a good example of the difference of like this balance thing and like what we're talking about. When I first got sober, one of the things that like my first hobby that I picked up was weightlifting, right? And so at the end of the day, I get done with work, all my meetings, all that stuff. It'd be like 7 p.m. I would walk down to Gold's Gym, which is about a 15-minute walk from the sober living house that I was staying at. And I would be in the gym lifting for about 2.5 to 3 hours every day. I did this. It wasn't 7 days a week. It was 6 days a week. I took Sunday off, but I would be in there for at least 2 hours, most of the time three,
Wow,
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
it's a
And
hell of a long workout.
yeah, and no cardio, just weightlifting. And this is because when I first got sober, I was 165 pounds and I'm 6'4". Like now, to give you some context, you're looking at me now, I'm 215 pounds. So I was 55 pounds lighter than what I am now when I got sober.
Wow.
And so I was like, I need to gain some muscle mass and like get healthy again. And so then I was just like going to the gym, and I was like for a period I got like pretty shredded doing that. I did that for like about a year and a half, like just constantly going to the gym like that. And I still work out, Yeah, but do I work out 6 days a week in that same sort of routine? No. I go to the gym maybe 2, 3 times a week. Other days I'm surfing. I'm doing some sort of physical activity. It's more focused on like cardiovascular stuff and making sure that but I still lift to keep my strength. I stopped going to the gym like that when I started building the online business, when I started working in sales and building the online business. I still went to the gym when I was doing that stuff, but I wasn't going 6 days a week for 2 to 3 hours every day because there's only so much room that my attention can go to. And I'm still going to my meetings. I'm not going to 2 a day anymore, but I was doing like 4 to 5 per week. And then I had a relationship, right? So I'm paying attention to my spouse and hanging out with her and doing stuff on the weekend and making plans for things, going to the gym, working the sales job. So I couldn't do one thing at that same level of intensity.
Mm-hmm. So were you finding balance?
Right. But
Right.
and there's been no point in time where I've been like massively overweight or underweight. I needed to make progress in a specific area very quickly. And so I put all my attention and focus on that. And I think that this happens naturally. Like, at least it does for me. And I put all my attention and energy into that. And then as soon as I decided that, okay, growing this business and leveling up my sales skills even more is more important than that, like then I started putting all of my attention there that I could. But I didn't completely let go of the other thing. It's like, this is what I've learned that I do is I'll focus a lot in a brand new area and I'll get some results like quickly. And then I'll focus in another brand new area and I'll still put some attention in that old one, but just not as much. So I can kind of keep it going. And then whenever I need to like make some new results somewhere, I put all this energy and attention into there. Every one time I move my energy and attention away from a hyper focused area, I try to make sure that I leave enough to keep that going. And so by default, I'm adding more of those spokes that you mentioned to my
Mm-hmm.
wheel by going through this process. And this might just be for me. I'm not saying this is how everybody needs to do things. Like, I think the whole
Well,
point that I was trying to make,
think you're saying that you're feeling more balanced in your life right now.
yeah, but still, when I want to go like learn something new, I put a lot of focus in it. Like with surfing,
Yeah.
I was surfing so much that over the fall, 3 to 4 times a week, so much that I was getting shoulder injuries. Like,
Mm.
like there's days that I got out of the water and I was getting bursitis in my shoulder. And I've had it in this shoulder, I've had it in this one too. And it's because I went from not doing it at all to doing it probably too much because I
I
was
don't
like,
know, but
I need to get better. I need to get better.
mm.
And this might just be my personality, but I don't think that there's any right way or wrong way. I noticed that that works for getting really good results, or getting a lot of transformation or growth like quickly. There's no shortcut around it. It's like there's just action to take. And but yeah,
What what's like so do you wear a wetsuit? You do, right? Because your waters are
hmm
cold.
yeah,
What do you
it's like
like a 3,
52 degrees right now.
2, 3,
No, I wear a 4-3.
a 4, 3?
Yeah, but water's
Because
like it's between 50 and 55 degrees right now.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
four
cold.
three.
So, like, because I've had so many injuries, ankles, shoulders, and I always tried to get that cold water on them, when I was surfing.
Yeah.
I don't know, it helped me.
I noticed with my shoulders what was going on with them at first. I noticed that they never hurt when I'm in the water. It's always as soon
Right.
as I get out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was going on at first was I wasn't going to the gym before I started surfing. I had a couple months of like actually not going, right? And then I just started surfing and my shoulders were like loose. Like I'm double jointed in both of my shoulders. So when I was like really, really skinny, I can like pop them out of their sockets. Like I can
Oh,
just like
man.
do it. Like I'm actually doing it right now. I used to gross girls out in elementary school. So I'd pull my sleeve up, right? And I'd pop my shoulder out and then I'd have them push right here. And then there's no shoulder bone because it's all right there. And then I move it back. And and they'd be like, "Oh, you." And but anyways, but what happens,
That's one way to land them.
right?
Oh, God. Hey, poke my shoulder.
And so I noticed from all the repetitive paddling, my shoulder would be really sore around my whatever that is, the
Like the rotator cuff or something.
rotator cuff, exactly.
Hey,
And my
pop
shoulder,
out like unintentionally?
that's what was happening when I started surfing a lot. My rotator cuff was getting sore and loose, and then it was like popping out, and it would hurt. And so then I would have to like stop surfing, put ice on it, and then like as soon as it felt okay, I'd get back in the water again, and then like it would be worse. And then I kept doing that until I think it was about a month and a half ago. I went surfing with my friend, and my shoulder was already bad. It was this one. I've had it happen to both, and now I think like I've really built up the muscles and the ligaments, so now it's not doing that anymore. And I try not to go more than 3 times in a week, like that's max, that I'll go, and so that they can get a break. But I got out of the water. I was with my friend, and my shoulder was already kind of messed up, and I caught a wave in, and I'm standing up, and I'm holding my board, and I'm like in waist deep water because I was walking out of the water because I was going to go to a different section of the beach, which was like way further away, but the waves were better. So I didn't feel like paddling over there. I was like, let me just get out, walk over there, and I'll get back in over there. And as I was walking out, I wasn't looking behind me. Stupid rookie mistake. I'm just walking in towards the beach, and a wave comes, hits me in my back, but I'm holding my board like this, and so it pulls my arm in this really weird way, and that just like jacked my shoulder up because it was already hurt. And then I was like, whatever. I walked up the beach and I got in the water anyways, and then paddled and surfed more where the waves were bigger because that's where I was going. And I didn't feel anything bad going on in my shoulder. But once I got out of the water, like my friend was like, dude, are you okay? Because he could tell I was in all this pain. I'm sitting in his truck and it's not hot or anything. The heater's not on. And he's like, dude, your shoulder, like, it's got to be bad. And I was like, what makes you say that? He's like, dude, you're fucking sweating. And I looked in the mirror and I'm just like drenched with sweat. I'm just sitting there like my shoulder, like it's okay, but I'm trying to not,
Did you already get out of your wetsuit?
yeah. And it was hard. It
Yeah.
was hard to
Because
get
that
out.
must have killed.
Yeah. It freaking hurt trying to peel that thing off and, but, so yeah, now I kind of give my shoulder a break. Like I went Friday, Saturday, and today. And so it's like, all right, maybe don't go surfing tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, I think there's ways that you can protect it, and you don't even know you're trying to protect it, but you actually do.
Yeah. And I'm getting better at it and I'm learning.
I have this because I have my left shoulder really started messing up last year, but I've got this, it's like this weight that I bought. It's got a little ball on the end, and you just like you swing it like here, let me see if I can get the camera here. You roll it like this, and the ball spins around, almost like you got a nunchuck in one hand and a tether with a weighted ball, and it strengthens up everything so you don't need rotator cuff surgery.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you got these heavier balls as you go, as you get stronger and stronger. Because I couldn't even lift my arm up at one point, but then I just kept using that because I didn't want to get operated on.
Right.
And I said, I gotta give this a shot. So I kept doing it, heavier, heavier, heavier. Now I'm great. I mean, when I do push-ups, I can hear a little bit of tendons crunching in there, but it doesn't hurt at all.
Yeah. And I understand that feeling because when my shoulders were hurting getting out of the water, like I'd get home and like I couldn't lift anything above my head.
Mm-hmm.
Like my phone, I couldn't pick my phone up and place it over there. I would start to and it hurt, then I'd have to assist with my other hand. I'd be like, dang, my shoulders are jacked up right now.
That's rotator cuff.
Yeah.
In case no one's ever got in and out of a wetsuit, man, that is like taking off second skin.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. Like, what do you have? Do you have like, you have the zipper in the front or in the back?
it's a front zip. And
Yeah.
it's got, because it's a 4-3, it's got the little thing that I flip over my head. So
Yeah.
it goes along my neck. You can see my tan line right here from it.
Yeah.
Like it's all darker up here because that's what's exposed. And, uh, and then like it connects and then zips in the front. So,
Yeah.
but it's a full on stretch neck, right? So it's like you take that flap off, but then after that, it's like it's not the kind where like the neck zips at all.
Oh yeah.
So it's like just a stretch neck. So that means, what that means for anybody watching that doesn't know what that means, it means that the neck of the wetsuit is that's what you slide into and that's what you slide out of to put it on. It just
Mm-hmm.
stretches so that you can do that. You end up like having to peel it back and then get one arm out and then the other arm out, and then you can like take it down like all the way.
Yeah. So when I was going through that, because I had a same thing as you have right in the front, I got a back zipper one because once you get that zipper release, you can kind of break out of it a
Yeah.
little bit
And then,
easier. Yeah.
yeah.
Because it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But cool. That was awesome. Couple different approaches to things.
Yeah. One of the things that, just talking about like the motivation to like do things, one of the things that I just wanted to share, because like you said that I'm a highly motivated guy, and it's funny because what this is something that I've internalized since being sober. And I learned this from my sponsor in AA, because a lot of people, and this used to be me, I would like not take action on something that I know I want to do
Mm.
because I'm waiting to get motivated. I'm waiting for something to happen that motivates me to do it. And I'm sure if you're watching this, you can relate. You're probably, maybe even you right now, Brian, are thinking of something that you thought, I need to do this. And then you're kind of just like waiting for like the inspiration or the motivation to actually go and do it. And so what my sponsor told me is, he said, dude, okay, when was he telling me this? I was about to start working steps. I was brand new sober, and he told me to do all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that homework here in a little bit that you gave me. But like, first I'm going to do this stuff. And
But you're
then,
talking the 12 steps.
right. Because this is where
Okay.
I learned this phrase that I'm about to say. It's from my sponsor. He
Yep.
wanted me to work the 12 steps, and he gave me my first assignment, the first thing to do. And I was like, oh, I got all these meetings that I'm going to and all these other things that I'm focusing on. I'm telling him this over the phone, basically telling him all the reasons why I'm not going to do the exact thing that he told me to do, because I'm busy doing all this other stuff. But like, I'm sure like when I get done doing all this other stuff, if I feel motivated, like then I'll be able to start doing it like later tonight. And he just hung on to that, if I feel motivated, part of the sentence. And he said, Ron. And I was like, yeah, what's up, dude? And he's like, I'm going to tell you something really important right now, and I want you to remember it. I said, okay, what's up? And he said, motivation comes after the action. It doesn't come before. And I thought, what do you mean? And he said, well, if you're waiting to wait till you feel motivated to do this stuff, well, you're just not going to do it. And once you start, then you will feel motivation to continue doing it. That's how it always works. Motivation comes after the act.
Absolutely correct. I love that. Love that.
And
Yeah.
and I've applied it to a lot of other things since then, and it's always been true. Like if I take a break from going to the gym, which I'm human, it happens. They don't happen on purpose, but they happen. Right. And then I'm thinking to myself, damn, I really need to get back in the gym. That first time that I go, like, 'cause this has happened multiple times, that first time that I go back, I am feeling zero motivation on my way to that gym. I'm just like, damn it, this is going to suck. I'm going to be sore. It's going to hurt. Like, this is so inconvenient. I want to just do the thing that I normally do right now. Right now, I don't want to go do this. And it's not until I go a couple times, I get past that initial soreness, then I start feeling good. Then I'm like, all of a sudden I'm motivated. I want to go to the gym all the time. I get done surfing for 3 hours and then I want to ride my bike to the gym and work out,
Mm.
and like I'm motivated to do it.
Yeah. That's actually a great point because that's the truth, right? You got to take action and then you get the motivation. I can totally agree with that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I could totally agree with that because I was already on my rowing machine. I have this machine. I think it's called a C2 rowing machine. They come out of Vermont and they're pretty intense. Great workouts on them, but I'm on it and I'm already on it. And I'm like, okay, what can keep me motivated? So
Right.
you're right. You got to start the first step. And that's with everything, right? The first step. And then after that, it's really go. That's cool. Good point.
Yeah. And so I just wanted to share that for anybody who may be watching that's trying to
Waiting.
use any of the tips
Yeah.
that we've
Waiting for
talked about
motivation. They're waiting
to
for
start doing
motivation.
something.
Do it.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, the motivation comes after the action. So just take the action unmotivated because
Yeah.
that's the only way to start doing anything,
Yeah. And see what happens. See what builds from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So hope this has been entertaining, helpful for you guys watching. And for you too, Brian. I hope this has been entertaining and helpful for you.
Yeah, right back at you.
Thanks, man. Yeah. If you don't know, this is the Mind Design Podcast, episode 26, I believe. We're in the 20.
We're
It's in the
20-something.
description. 20
Yeah.
something.
20-something.
Yeah. If you want to see more of these, there's a bunch on the channel. We have some short videos too. But yeah, you can find them on YouTube. Pretty self-explanatory. I think that's it, man. I don't have anything else. I feel like I'm trying to think of what to say.
No, hey. Good time to cut it off then. Ron's out
Right
of
on.
words. He's thinking about surfing. That's what he's thinking about.
I am highly motivated to continue doing that. But that came after.
After you took the first board in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
All right. See you guys next week.
Right on.